Welcome once again to this breakfast show right here from County 034. This is your host Noah Nasiali Kadima. Always excited to be with you guys. You know, the last few days, this thing called a flu took over me, so I could not be here. But I'm excited to be back here for all you farmers and food enthusiasts across sub-Saharan Africa and beyond. This is a farmers breakfast show which we want to help you connect with stakeholders, other farmers, as well as all other industry players so that you can then learn and grow. Excited to be here. Remember this to follow our social media handles. And today we're going to talk about money, pesa. Yes. In my French, it's called mangondo. You know, what we are going to talk about today is something very interesting. We're going to talk about how do you fund your agri-enterprise, whether it's your farm, whether it is something that you are excited to do. Is it value addition? Is it going to work with farmers? How do you do this? Remember, we have 4 ways that we're going to talk about today. And one of the most interesting things that we'll talk about today is how is your activity in relation to what is happening in the world? What are some of these things, even before you go and look for this funding? What are some of these things that you really need to be able to have? And from the beginning, when I was asked to take up this topic with my producer, it was something very interesting that I didn't really say that I would take it up and do it really well. It is something that I have always wanted to do. In fact, we will be starting a series of these discussions on how to be able to manage your enterprise. How do you make sure it is succeeding, things like that. And this is what one of the things that we'll be talking about. It's starting today, but also we'll be having a webinar later on in the month of August. Remember, this is the 1st of August. It's a brilliant month, started off really well. Let us know where you are watching us from. Remember to follow again our social media handles at Farmers on Facebook, Instagram, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is Farmers Media. This is a very interesting day, and why I'm saying it's interesting is because agriculture has been said to be the number 1 income earner, foreign exchange earner for our beloved country. But we don't see this, especially we as farmers. Sometimes we don't see this. And I remember yesterday I shared an image of yesterday I shared an image of the headache related to stress, other challenges in life. But the one that was actually for farmers was a full head, very interesting. And why is because all these things come at the same time. You need water at the same time, you need to pay labor, you have not harvested. If you've harvested, then you need transport to the farm. To the market. If you've not got the transport, then probably you have not got the market. So many challenges that come across. But why is this a challenge? It is a challenge because we were not prepared. We've not been prepared to run our enterprises as businesses. So we run our farms. You hear, I am a farmer, I am a farmer, I am a farmer. But very few times do you even get a business card of someone who has written, the profession is a farmer. We see doctors, we see all these guys, but we don't see farmers. Is it that we're not proud of it or what? So let us get into the discussion today. Very interesting things that we're going to talk about. It's going to be a little bit of science, a business science a little bit of fun as well. We'll be also sharing some polls. If you've not followed our group, Africa Farmers Club and Farmers Media, make sure you do. Not now, later on. You can put it down and you can be able to do this. Whether you're a seasoned farmer, whether you're a new farmer, whether you're a budding gardener, whether you are somebody who is just interested in seeing, there's some people who are just interested in creation. So they just love seeing nature. This is where you begin. This is where you begin by connecting to the people who make sure that you are successful in all ways. And right here from a Farmers Media, that is what we do for you to be able to make sure that you are getting in there. When I was coming in today, I was a bit late today. When I was coming in today, I remembered how people just get successful in life. And one of the things that I kept on saying is you cannot just be successful in life. I mean, there's no way you can just be successful in life. It is not possible. You have to really work. You have to really work hard and hard, and then you start working smart. When you start working smart, then you build a network. That network becomes your worth. The network, the network is what people is. They talk about you where you're not in. They talk about you, they knock doors for you. Why is this so hard in farming? Why is it so hard in farming? Is it because we are into competition full throttle instead of collaborating? Very few times do I hear another farmer saying, "Oh, I know another farmer who has tomatoes. Mine are finished. I'll link you up." We always say, "I don't have." We always say, "I don't have. I don't have tomatoes. I don't have onions." Rarely do we say, "There's someone else in my network that has it." Why? And yet, when you go to other professions, even if you go to a doctor, your own personal doctor will always recommend you to another doctor. They don't have the feeling, or that you're competing with them. No, that is not. That is out of the picture. So we as farmers, we have to do something a little bit different. We have to find ourselves, and one of the ways of finding ourselves into is to actually look at what we do as a business. You don't have business competitors, you have collaborators. So you partner with people. You grow tomatoes, another farmer grows onions, another one grows courgettes, another one grows tomatoes like you, but they're not growing at the same time as you. So having this network, building this network is very, very important. So even just before we get into understanding how to get funding for your business, you need to first ask yourself, what is this thing that we're talking about? What is this business venture? Is it an idea? Is it something that you have thought through and understood how it is, or it's just farming? When you go and borrow somebody money, because that's what we do. When you raise funds, we're borrowing money somewhere and resources, and these resources belong to someone else. True. So when we are doing that, then it means that there's some specific things that we have to get it right. You have to know, when will you borrow me money? Is it a time that I'm giving out money? Is it a time somebody is giving out money? And that money they are giving out, do they want it in a certain way? Do they want it back? Those are some of the things that we are going to consider today and ask ourselves, how do we make sure that we raise resources, we raise capital, we raise funding for our agribusiness enterprises? And once we get that right, then I'm not saying it's going to be easy. No, it's not really going to be easy. But at least we'll have something else. In another language that I know, it says that tunachanuliwa. So that is what we are doing today. We want to see how best can we do that. We are just going to touch on the basics, probably 4 ways of doing it, and then we get a little bit deeper. But remember that we will be sharing a link and later on a webinar, or where you will be able to get some of this information in detail. You can also get personalized guidance on how this is done. Obviously, for a little bit money, a little fee. Why? Because even pesa mafuta imepanda. So wherever you're watching us from, let us know where you're watching us from. I remember when I shared this in my profile. Remember also to follow me at Nasia Lin. Very many people ask me, you mean there's a way farmers can raise revenue, funding for the agri-enterprises? Yes, everybody's doing it. We have just seen today, I was looking through the news, and the Swedish government has actually purposed to fund agricultural enterprises in Kenya. So that is something that you should also get to know, and that is what we are going to. We will jump in very quickly into our weather for today, and we will check about a few counties and see what is happening in these counties. But apart from just checking the counties and the weather patterns, we also want to ask ourselves, what is this weather? How does that weather pattern, how does that weather of the day help you as a farmer in the activities that you are doing? Because not all weather patterns, not all weather, whatever it is, are helpful for you as a farmer. So let us jump in straight into our weather, courtesy of Meteorological Department. I still remember when they used to put some things on the screen. Now, Nairobi is sunny intervals, cloudy, lows of 15 and highs of 24. Fantastic weather. Mombasa is always super weather. That is temperatures, lows of 22 and highs of 28. So if you're in Mombasa, do not even think of doing any spray on your crops today. you will or you want to try and send us the photos of how it look like. So today, if you're in Mombasa, make sure you have watering your crops really well, because this is the time when now they get the manufacturing of food is actually the nutrients getting into the plants, but don't do any sprays at this time. If you have to do it, make sure you do very early in the morning or very late in the evening when the sun is down. Kisumu also, don't even think of doing that. We have highs of 30 degrees, and Kisumu is hot and humid, lows of 19, but we always look at the highs, so don't even think of that. The same with Eldoret. Eldoret is cool. You can actually do that. That is highs of 24, lows of 13. Eldoret is always a mixed feeling. There's a day I was in Eldoret and it just started raining. I wish we had that kind of rain in Kajiado, but we don't want that rain. Looking at the counties in the north, that is Marsabit, Garissa, Lodwar, and Mandera, Moyale, Wajir, we are getting really good weather, except for Mandera, and we are getting actually a really good lows of 17, relatively nice, highs of 24, except for Mandera, which is highs of 33 degrees. So if you are in these counties, apart from Mandera, you can do any spray if you want, any time of day, because highs of 24 is relatively good. We will have sunny intervals. Narok, one of my favorite counties. I'm yet to visit Narok, especially the farming aspects of it. Really good weather today. Highs of 24, lows of 10 degrees. Kitale, one of the home counties. Lows of 15. Can get chilly a bit. Highs of 26. That's fine. Very good weather if you are spraying or whatever. But I think the maize has reached a certain level, so you don't really need to do that. Remember also, some of the pests that insects that are there are normally because of weather. That is either whether the insects there, the increase in insects infestation, or the diseases. Some of them are weather related, so it is very important to actually monitor your weather. Meteorological department, you don't have to download anything. You go to Meteo, that is meteo.go.ke, get weather forecast. You can actually get up to 7-day weather forecast. There's also also the agro, it's called what? Agroecological, yes. That helps you to be able to understand what activities can you be able to actually do with this kind of weather. That is a fantastic day, and yes, this is a farmer's media. Today we're talking about something very interesting, and you need to take a pen and a paper, or just send your questions in the comment section. Yesterday I asked something very interesting, and I asked this question, and why I found it very interesting. I will just be sharing that in a few minutes. I asked a very interesting question: how much money do you need to raise money to take care of a crop in a farm? Very interesting mixed reactions. If you are on Africa Farmers Club on Facebook, you must have seen that. If you haven't, go there later on and check. The responses are very interesting. So I'll be sharing out what farmers are actually saying, what they think about it. How much money they think they're able to run this. Actually, we've got close to 1,300 farmers who have actually given feedback. Really mixed feelings there. I will vote also later on. So if you are, we'll be sending this link later on in the comment section, which you need to participate in. So before you go and start looking for funding for your agri-enterprise, what do you need to look at? What do you need to do? And what you need to do is something very interesting. Is it within your means? Do you need some guidance? Do you need support? Do you need some training? So that then you can say, I am ready for funding. Remember, funding will come in different ways. When funding comes in different ways, then you also have to ask yourself, am I ready for it? Many times we ask for things. Many times we pray for things. Many times we look for things. But how prepared are we to receive them? That's a very interesting part. A few months back, I was asked the same question. I was asked, you want something in life, but how prepared are you? What shows you are ready to receive this? So those are some of the things that I would like to take you through first before we get into the second part of this, in terms of where do you go and knock doors? Where are these doors to be knocked? So first of all, you have to first ask yourself, where do you want to take this enterprise? Where do you want to take your agri-enterprise? Remember, most of the funding opportunities will come, and they'll require you to do a few things. Number one, they'll need to you to uh, have a vision. It might not be clear. It might not be the end goal, but at least it should be clear to you, like, this is something I'm interested in. This is what I would love to be. Things will change. How you get there will change. Remember, sometimes we say, "Oh, I'm really tired. I really need to go to a holiday." But is it the right time to go on holiday? If it is the right time to go on holiday, where are you going on a holiday? How are you going to on a holiday? Who are you going with? What are you going to do when on holiday? You're not just going to sleep. Mombasa is one of the places where people go on holiday. You're not just going to just lie on the beach. You have to know what time. Things to be done, places to visit, and stuff like that. The same with when you are running your agri enterprise. It is one of the biggest challenges that you face, and when facing these challenges, one of the things that as I was trying to look for some resources, some funding for agri enterprise, there's something that was called to write a request for proposal. My friends, I did not even know how to write that. I didn't even know what it means, because I was wondering, how do you request for a proposal? See, a proposal someone just brings without, why do you ask for it? But there's some opportunities that are out there that request you to go and actually do it. There are some organizations, some people who already have these resources. They have the resources, but they just don't know where to use them. Or if they know, they want you to explain how best you use them in relation to what they will benefit from it. So those are some of the things that we need to look at, and there are three lenses that we will be talking about later on in the show. The three lenses of where to look for money, where whoever is giving out money is looking for. We'll also look at something called the SDGs. These SDGs are very important for you to actually link your activities with the SDGs, because that is what is revolving around the world. We also have something that's very, very interesting, that is the climate. So climate change is happening. Climate activities, climate related activities are also going there. There's funding available. We know that in the next few months we'll be having the Africa Climate Summit. We, as a country, Kenya, are proud to be the ones that will be hosting it this time round, in preparation with COP28. So when you have all these activities in your mind, when you have all these things that you like to do, how does it sync with what the world is going to? How does it sync with a fintech, with a financial institution? How does it sync with an agricultural enterprise that is out there giving out resources to farmers, to farming enterprise owners, stuff like that? How do you do that? When you see people getting funding, how do you get to do that? Then we'll also talk about something very interesting. It's called an accelerator program, the different accelerator programs that are out there. Then something that is very important. There are two things that we also look at. I don't want to shout a lot in this one. These two things are grants and loans. You have to know these two different things. Is it a free loan? Is it a refundable loan? Is it an interest-based loan? We will get into some of these activities. But before that, we want to see that I want to share something that we said, and I remember I asked, how much is required to start a successful farming venture on 2 acres? So this should include an efficient irrigation system, and we posed the question, and the answers that we got are very interesting questions, very interesting responses. We see most 53% of you actually think that you need between 300,000 and 500,000 shillings. That is very interesting. We also have our in-house engineer, who is called Lele Olelele Emmanuel, who gave us a very interesting answer, which we'll be sharing that as well with you. So as we start this, as we continue discussing this, one of the things that I see that has been the biggest challenge is how to convert your farming enterprise, your agribusiness enterprise, into a business. What do you need? Take a pen and a paper. First of all, you need to have something that we call a business model canvas. Yes, very interesting. You need to ask yourself, we need something called a business model canvas. What is a business model canvas? So a business model canvas is a structure of your business that tells you, or it doesn't have to be a business, it can just be your activities that you're doing. It tells you who is your key customers, who are these people who are you cooperating with, who are the stakeholders, what is your cost structure, where is your profit margin, what is your value proposition, what is this thing that you're adding value to people's lives, to your customers' lives, who are your key customers, what are the advantages that you already have. Is it staffing? Is it structures? Is it offices? Is it farm? Is it processing areas? Then what do you need to succeed? That is a game changer. So that business model canvas then it helps you then transform yourself, first of all, from a producer if you're a farmer, from an idea holder if you just thought about an idea, into somebody who's thinking business wise. Because then you start making business decisions. What is the location of my business? How does it favor me? We also have digital, but when it comes to farming, it's very rare for you to have just digital. If it is a farm, where is the farm located? How does it serve the interest of the people around? What else can I offer apart from the produce in my farm? Can I offer training to my neighbors? Can I partner with other organizations? That now links you to the business model canvas. A very important thing that you do, for those who don't know yet, I apart from the farming, I also support businesses in terms of design and product and service design, for you to understand how your business is, where you are going to, packaging, the branding aspects of it, how do you approach the market, what is the route to market strategy, and that is why I said it is very important for me to actually do this. When I was asked about to take on this topic today, I was a bit excited to get to see, oh, this is possible. I can be able to do this, and as we do this. Again, going back to the business model canvas, it is very important for you to do that. So we'll share in the comment section what a sample business model canvas looks like, so that you can be able to do that. You can always get back to us, contact us, for you to get to understand better, for us to be able to guide you in terms of what that looks like, what it means, and for your personalized business. Even if you're having a farm, if you're growing tomatoes, then who are your key customers? So let's talk to, first of all, producers, who farmers, who I love calling ourselves producers, because that's what we do mostly. You're producing tomatoes. Where are you going to sell these tomatoes? Because where you're going to sell these tomatoes will help you also understand what variety, what are the qualities, of these tomatoes. What are the specs of these tomatoes, if we use that word, that this market that I'm looking for wants. So if you're looking for a tomato variety that is good for schools, then you need to know that it needs to be a variety that can easily be cooked. If it's a tomato variety that is good for other things, like for example salads and kachumbari and the rest, then you know for sure that it is something that is hard, a bit sweet, probably, not too watery and stuff like that, So that is one of the things that we need to make sure that we are actually considering, and so many other aspects. We'd like to take a very short break, and when we go for a break, we want to remember four things that we'll come to consider. We're going to consider what are grants, what partnerships are there, what agricultural competitions that are out there, and then one that I don't want to shout a lot, microfinances. But if you can run away from them, just run away very fast. We'll be coming back from the break, and we'll discuss these four things. And these four things will help us in the most interesting way. They'll help us see how best to look for funding to run our agri-enterprises. This is a Farmer's Breakfast Show.
Have you felt that the climate has been changing? Perhaps the dry season seems hotter. The rains are too late, or too early, too little, or don't come at all.
You see more pests and diseases on your shamba. All of these can lead to less yields.
By managing your water and soil, you can ensure that your shamba is still productive. This could be as simple as harvesting water from your roofs, investing in solar irrigation, and practicing conservation agriculture such as mulching, crop rotation, and minimum tillage.
Trees are also a part of smart farming and can help you make your farm cooler, keep your soils intact and healthy. Planting fodder crops and turning grasses into hay or silage is another smart way of adapting.
But be aware that even with smart farming, some things will remain out of your control. That's why it's a good idea to think about insurance, as this can cover you from these unforeseen events.
Good soil and water management, along with planting trees and pest and disease control, can also help you increase your yields and income as the climate changes.
A budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you'll make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral. Losing out on your crops or livestock can be a huge problem. With changing weather, there will be more unexpected losses. Have you heard about agricultural insurance? By paying a small amount of money each month, you can get paid out for serious losses to your crop or livestock. It is more affordable than you think. For a dairy cow valued at 100,000 shillings, the cost of insurance is 3.5% of that value. So, 3,500 shillings. That's about 10 shillings per day. or 1.5 liters of milk a week. Here's how to get insured. Contact an insurance agent. Someone will come and assess the expected yields from your crops or value of your animals. The insurer will then give you a cost and plan for your insurance. You pay the premium. That's the amount you need to pay to be insured for 1 year. That's it.
To a farmer's breakfast show. This is a very interesting day today, and one of the things that makes it interesting, and I'm laughing, is because my producer was asking me some questions here, and I didn't know whether to answer them or not to answer them. And then I was told I'm on air. So, nikajipata niko kwa hiyo mix. So now we want to dive in a bit deeper into the 4 areas that we said that we want to discuss. The first one definitely is agricultural grants that are there, that are already available, so many of them. But how do you get this done right? How do you prepare for these proposals right? The other one is agribusiness competitions. And when I'm discussing that, I'll be talking about Pamoja transformation, which is something that is going on right now, and you should be able to be part of that. Then we also have impact investing. What does impact investing mean? Remember, agriculture is an impact. It's a social impact kind of activity. So what does that look like? Then the second last one is strategic partnerships and joint ventures. If you can run away from those ones, also run away, unless you are very sure of who you're partnering with. And what does that strategic partnership? What does it? When you hear about it, how does it sound to you? That's something that is very interesting. The other thing that you can also look at very interestingly, which I've also said I would love to run away from, you as a farmer should run away from, is microfinance institutions because of the charges and all that. However, I stand guided. So if you are running a microfinance that supports farmers, let us know in the comment section, or also get in touch with us. We can be able to get to know who you are, what you do, what are your rates, what are your charges. How are farmers safe? Because we've had some incidences where farmers have taken loans and their farms have been auctioned. Let us jump down into agricultural grants. So what are these grants? What do they look like? Is it a free grant? Is it something that you pay back? Is it something that has its own ideas that, so first of all, grants are something that, in fact, I'm being reminded that before even jumping into that, we have to look at 3 lenses. Remember, I mentioned 3 lenses. So the 3 lenses that funders always look at, especially impact-based funders, is the jobs lens. How many jobs will be created with the resources that they're going to dedicate to you? What is the gender? How are women and young people, the youth, going to benefit from this venture? Then the next one is economic development lens. How are you going to uplift the livelihoods of the people who you say, the community you say that you're going to support with the resources that you're going to be given? So those 3 lenses are very, very, in fact, they're extremely important in your thinking when you are writing a proposal, when you are thinking about looking for funding. Very important. Apart from that, there's also another thing that is very important. You need to look at what are the sustainable development goals, which are 17. Which of them are you going to highlight in your work? How are you going to be guided by those goals? Because that is where the world is going. Everybody is competing for a certain space, and that space is the social impact. So, first of all, we've said that we're going to talk about grants. So grants can be given by what they aim. These specific grants, agricultural grants, aim to provide and promote sustainable agricultural practices, increase food security, support innovative farming ventures. So those are what the grants look like. Most of these grants are free grants, but they have their own conditions that you have to meet from the organization that is offering you the grant. So there are 4 ways that you need to do to make sure that you can be able to secure. 1, research about the grant opportunities. Make sure you understand who are these and where are these grants. sometimes government websites, non-governmental organizations, international development organizations have excellent sources of grant information. There are some others that we can be able to look at. Some you pay to be able to get some of this information, which again, as I said, we'll be sharing some of this information later on, and we'll be having actually some trainings on this. The other one is you need to develop a compelling proposal. You need to write a proposal that when someone reads, even you yourself, when you read it, you're like, I'm going to dedicate some resources here. And how do you do this? You have to emphasize on the positive impact on the local community and the environment. There, climate checks in. So you have to be, it's an agricultural activity, climate has to be related. So you have to make sure that these two things are lined up together. The other thing is that you also need to make sure that you've met the eligibility criteria. Look at the criteria, what is the target crop? Some of these things will be like the targeted crop, size of your farm, what are the sustainable practices that you're going to have. Then the last one, you need to make sure that you submit the application on time. Don't just submit it on time, because the earlier you submit it, the better. The earlier you submit it, because if you go towards the deadline, I was part of a grant application process where we were selecting grantees, and you realize that you get 10,000 applications, but out of the 10,000 applications, 9,000 came in probably towards the end, towards the deadline. So if you can, the earlier you do it, the better. So what about the next one? So the next thing is agribusiness competitions. So agribusiness competitions are basically things like, where farmers can be able to showcase their innovative ideas and win financial rewards, mentorship, or also probably find funding to support their projects. And with this, I would like to share one that we are proudly associated with. This is the Pamoja for Transformation Agribiz Awards. These are agribusiness awards that is being run by Pamoja Transformation. You can go to their website, to their Facebook page, Pamoja for Transformation, and get to understand much more. From their write-up, that basically it is Pamoja for Transformation is a partnership with her development partners, and then they've invited interested and eligible youth, especially youth groups, youth-led enterprises, and this way you're supposed to submit these applications. You need to make sure that you actually go there, Pamoja Transformation, click, apply. The deadline I think is coming in fast. Make sure you've set in your application. Make sure you've explained yourself really well. The application process is really transparent, very easy, very open. We have quite a number of partners. We will be hosting the team from Pamoja Transformation here in studio later on in the week. So make sure you understand and you see part of what that looks like. So what do you do? How do you get to understand this? Research about the competitions. They're out there. There's so many: local, regional, international. Pay attention to what the criteria is, the prizes, and deadlines. Very important. Deadlines are very important. Don't be a procrastinator. Procrastination always fails. The next one is develop unique farming concepts. So when you develop these unique farming concepts, what happens is then you are able to stand out. So long as it's unique and matches the criteria that is eligibility criteria of the funding organization, you are 50% done. The rest is now how you convince them and how it applies to the local communities around it. Always prepare a winning pitch. Always make sure that your pitch is top level. Make sure your pitch is at a certain level, not below. No, it has to be up there. Something very important for these competitions is networks. As we said when we were beginning today's show, the networks are very important. Network and collaborate. Don't sit in your own bedroom, in your own office, in your own farm and think somebody is going to bring a cake to you. You have to go out and look at the bakery. Who's baking the cake? What part of the cake can you get? What piece of the cake can you be able to get? So make sure that you are doing this at the highest level possible. Because when you network, you meet other people. You meet people higher than you so that you can aim higher. I always say we need to aim high and miss rather than aiming low and hitting. So when you aim high, it means that then you are able to achieve so much. So aim high, win. Don't aim low and hit. So if your goals are not scary, if your goals are not big enough, then automatically you just know that boop, if you're not scared of your own goals, who will be excited about them? So that is something very important. Agribusiness competitions are number one way of raising funds for your agribusiness venture. Number one, best actually. The other one is a bit technical. It's good, but a bit technical. This is impact investing. So impact investing, these are people who have actually want to invest, but for impact, not for profit. So these guys, these organizations, they fund projects that create positive social and environmental impact while generating financial returns. So you have to make sure that your activity has an impact. Again, as I said, we'll be sharing what are some of these activities in the webinar that we'll be having in the course of this of this month. So how do you get to do this? You need to define your social enterprise. You have to define your social and environmental impact clearly. It has to be very clear. And remember, we talked about the business model canvas. So that business model canvas, your MVP, your most valuable proposition has to touch on impact. It has to touch about social. It has to touch about people. It has to make sure it has to make sense. Because if it makes sense, then automatically then you know that you have defined your social and environmental impact. Environmental here, in a better word to be used, is impact. Is climate. So it has to be climate smart. It has to reflect back positively on the organization itself, because if they are doing something positive, then you're home and dry. Then you also have to align with impact investment goals. We have also talked about the sustainable development goals, which are impact based. They're actually basically impact based. So you need to ask yourself, where are these impact investors? So you have to research about the impact investors. Where are they? What are they doing? Are they aligned with your farming enterprise mission and values? Is that something that you look for, or you just want to grow crops, go and sell, make money? So you need to approach all this whose focus are aligned to your project. So don't go and if you've never grown maize, you don't know how to grow maize, you don't enjoy growing maize, don't go and look for funding opportunity for growing maize. You will not enjoy. So it has to align. The mistake that we have done for a very long time is to get funding and aligning ourselves to the funding that is required. So that way it means that you don't understand half the process, you don't have the right team, you don't have the right resources. Then you get money and you have to adjust everything. When the funding gets finished, then you go back. Some of these experiences we've gone through ourselves, myself included, gone through that experience, nasty, headache, and didn't achieve much. The other one is prepare a comprehensive impact report. That report is your report. So you have to make sure you say, if I'm going to talk about impact on X, then I need to make sure that X is clear, that X is right, that X is worth talking about. It is impact based. The last one is network with impact investment networks. Again, networks comes in very important, very, very active. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to them? For what? How are you benefiting them? How are they benefiting you? It's a network. It's not a business. Remember, networks are not business. Networks then grow into businesses. So that is something that is very important for you to differentiate. Networks grow into business, not the other way around. So that is something very important, very critical. The other one, the last two that I would like to talk about are very interesting. So we have the strategic partnerships and joint ventures. So what are these strategic partnerships and joint ventures? So the partnerships could be people who can be able to support agricultural companies, that can be able to support by giving you access to funding information. They can give you expertise. Remember, some of the funding that you need would go even into getting experts to do some work for you. And probably could even know how to share resources. Probably someone else has got funding to do something else, but they cannot be able to do it. Probably they could recruit you. Probably they could partner with you to be able to do this. So that is a partnership that now you have to be very clear on. But the most important thing is you have to get into this partnership with an honest, and you have to be someone who believes in integrity. because that is very key. So you need to identify who are the potential partners. Who are these potential partners? What are they doing? What kind of what skills are they complementing with you? We cannot have partners who think the same way. It is impossible. It is a lie. You will not go anywhere. You need to have partners who have different skill sets who come in together. What else are they bringing in? Resources. The partnerships should bring resources. Let me tell you for sure. If you're in a partnership and there's no resources being discussed there, then you're in the wrong partnership. Resources have to be there to make things run, or they could be able to come in and say, we will fund your farming enterprise. But it has to align with what exactly specifically you need done. And that is one of the things that I have seen personally has really worked really well for me. Having understood who are these partners, what do they want, how long do they want the partnerships for, what are these things that I feel that whatever they are doing and saying and packaging and what they stand for aligns with my values. It aligns with my the values that I have already. The other thing that is very crucial for this particular bit, which we want to dwell on a bit more, is identify what gaps are there. Once you identify what gaps are there, then it will be very clear. You'll clearly define the roles and responsibilities of each of you. So if you're in a partnership, you know that who is this person who will be talking to other partners? Who is this person who will be handling their finances, the accounting bit? Who is this partner? Who of you is going to handle the market? Who of you is going to deal with the farm workers? Or the other people, What skill sets do they have? What skill sets do you have? So when you identify these partnerships or joint ventures, so partnerships could be your farm with another farm and say, we will partner together and supply a certain supermarket or supply a certain market. Or it could be a farming venture, for example, a farmer's media. We have partnered with quite a number of other partners. For example, we have partnered with Sprouts to bring to you some content on agriculture for you to benefit more. So how is that coming in? What skill sets do you bring in? What skill set do they bring in? So this particular bit, we've seen so many partnerships failing, so many partnerships going down the drain, so many partnerships getting wasted, but it's because probably things were not clear from the beginning. So clearly define roles and responsibilities of each person, establish the clear goals, clear roles, so that everybody knows what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do. The other one is the terms and conditions. What are these terms and conditions? This cuts across all. It cuts across all of them. So negotiate these terms and conditions clearly. What are the financial contributions? What is the profit sharing method? What is the decision making mechanisms? Seek legal advice if need be to ensure that there's a transparent agreement. These contracts that are there, that is very transparent so that it is very clear of expectations. And the most important thing is, how do you manage expectations? Because expectations not managed well is what brings chaos and all that. So those are some of the things to really look at and ask yourself, what can I do to make sure that it is a successful venture? So that is something else. There's quite some questions coming through here. The other thing that we also want to look at is leverage networking and relationships. And you can hear as we keep on talking about networking and relationships, very, very important. It's very important to use your professional network and existing relationships to connect with potential partners and build trust. No man is an island. Nobody buys from organizations. People buy from people. And you see, when we talk about people buying from people, it is very, very evident that indeed, for sure, automatically, that then you are part of a network. Someone else is part of a network. So if you get into these networks, then automatically some of these partnerships would come in. It could be a joint venture, could say, let us do something together, this company, another company, this farm, another farm. How do you get this done right? If you're not good at record keeping, do you have someone in your network who understands? And funny thing, some of these networks, some of these things that you need to do, when you push them and do them through different networks, you automatically comes in your head. Automatically, you realize, oh, I could have done this. It's already clear. I could have made sure this is already happening. So leverage networking opportunities, very important, very important. We can see As we look at agricultural grants, the networks that are there, they're available. We've seen that is something that stands out really well. The other one is also the agribusiness competitions networks coming in thick, very, very thick. Network and collaborations. We've seen in impact investing, network and impact investing networks. The other one we've seen about strategic partnerships and joint ventures, leverage networking as well. So these are very important things that you need to do to look at. So the last one that I said you might run away from, but I'm not saying run away from. There's some organizations, microfinance institutions that can be able to support and give you funding for your agri-enterprise. However, I would discourage so much starting off with a loan facility. One thing is because you have to really master it. A loan is good for business that is already existing, that is already running. That way, then becomes easier for you to do what to understand how it's done. How to do it right, how to make sure that it is successful, that such kind of things. So these are very important points that we've considered. So let me go back to the topic that we had shared a while back. We had shared a certain a poll on Africa Farmers Club, and it was a very interesting poll because what it was informing us was a very interesting thing. How much money do people use to do that? So some of the comments, people say they're following and they want to understand. So we'll be sharing with you. That is Collins Kulei. If you're watching again, the other comments is now I want to look at some of these things that have been there. So when we ask people how much money do they need for their farming enterprise, especially farming just on 2 acres, because that's where we want to start from, most people say between 300,000 and 500,000 shillings. But now there's somebody who has given us some really good breakdown. That is our in-house engineer. That is Lele Olelele Emmanuel. Very brilliant guy. He's an irrigation expert who helps farmers do so much. He has actually broken He has actually broken down some of the interesting things and just said half the cost of whatever you want to start off with goes into irrigation. Half the cost. If you're going to do 2 lines of drip irrigation or 3 lines or whatever it is on the fittings and all that, 2 lines. But now he's also given us something very interesting. He's given us something very interesting here and says that you have to look at 3 things. So one of the things that you have to look at is land preparation. Digging the trenches, raising the beds. That one you need to make sure that you already have some good resources already there. He's put it at 25,000 Kenya shillings, close to around $200. Then water tower construction depends on the design. Again, it comes to the design of the irrigation system, design of your farm, location of your farm, water source, and all that. Then, what is the water tank capacity? So are we assuming that all these things are set in place? Plantation time casuals during planting, transplanting. You need casuals to transplant, or if it's seeds to plant. What is the weeding management? Is it, So there are some of these aspects that everything goes back into money. And that is what I wanted us to dwell on a bit now towards the end of the show. I wanted us to think through and ask ourselves, what is the difference between a business venture and just any other venture? There must be something very different. There must be something that is done right, that has to be done really, really right. And if we do that and we do it in the right way, then automatically, then we will for sure know that we have done the right thing. And everything is money. However, when it comes to farmers, sometimes we don't focus on that as the aspect, as the main thing. But we are still using resources. So when you are using resources, then you need to ask yourself, am I using the right resources in the right way for the right reason? Some of these things that you have to look at very critically. And if you focus on that aspect, then you'll realize that you are winning, you are succeeding, you are having the right thinking through about your business. You have the beginning, as we've said, you have a vision and where you want to go to. So the vision describes your 20 years goal, Then the mission now breaks down that vision into smaller achievable goals, and sometimes that's where you realize the vision of an institution does not change, but the mission changes depending on time. And for example, the vision 2030 has not changed, much, but how to achieve it is what changes, because some things you will do and you'll do faster. Some things you'll do and you'll do slower. Some things will hinder you from from achieving the specific set goals within a certain period. For example, Vision 2030, when it was being set up, we didn't think there would be 2 or 3 years of COVID. So it shut down some things. But in the process, also fast-tracked other things. For example, development of the digital world, fast-tracked. The impact of using telecommunications and media and digital resources to reach communities increased, because then there was a need. And one of the things that our farmers' media actually was born because of COVID, because we could not reach so many other farmers and physically as we always loved to. But now we are even reaching much more. For you in Botswana, I know you're watching us, Theo. We know so many of you watching us from Zambia, so many of you watching us from Nigeria as well. We continue praying for some of our fellow farmers in countries that are facing really terrible situations, having war and stuff like that. It's really terrible, because especially for a farmer, you've grown crops, you can't take to the market, probably you cannot even visit your farm, so we keep on sucking you up to don't give up. It's challenging, but again, challenges always have some opportunities. Very interesting. So the other thing that we also have said, as a way of summary, there are 5 areas where you can be able to look for resources and be able to get funding. We will go into that into more detail on that. But again, a very interesting time that we have right now here, and I'd like to share something very interesting here. I'd like to share 2 things, and these 2 things that I want to share are experiences that you have in life, and these experiences in life, sometimes they might throw you off guard, and so the one thing that I want to share is a statement. It says, the door is much smaller compared to the house. The lock is much smaller compared to the door. The key is the smallest to all, but they can open an entire house. You can imagine. Okay? Thus, a small, thoughtful solution can solve major problems. Okay? So let me take that again. A door is much smaller compared to a house. The lock is much smaller compared to the door. The key is the smallest of all, but it can open the entire house. So don't think that you're too small to solve a problem. Don't think you're too small to achieve something. You can achieve something, and you can go and get it. Very interesting. Something else that is very important also to note that is just how things are and the situations in the world right now. Things are hard. Farmers are also facing the challenges, but we don't give up. We never give up. We never, ever, ever give up. We do all that right. That is right. So, in a way of summary of this week's show, today's breakfast show is very interesting. Make sure you have a business model canvas for your activities, whether it's your farm, a business, agri-business enterprise. Make sure you have something that you can be able to do it that guides you, a business model canvas. The other thing that you also need to know is that you need to understand how your business impacts the social development goals, that is the SDGs. We've seen the 3 lenses that funding organizations always look for: the jobs lens, the gender lens, as well as the economic development lens. Those are three lenses that anybody who's giving you funding will always think about. So you need to ask yourself, are my goals and my values aligned to these 3 lenses? Something that also very critical in this time that we're living in, that is bright and is the talk of the world, is the climate. We're having Africa Climate Summit later on in the year. So are you part of it? Are you understanding how your activities are aligned to that? Of greatest importance, you have to make sure that you have the right team that will help you go through whatever you're going to ask for. So this right team is, you have a body or a board, probably some advisors. It doesn't have to be a very formal engagement, but you have people who you're talking. It could be even some of your clients could advise, this is what we'd like to look, this is what we want to do. And you can always contact us at Farmers Media for us to help you in terms of product and service design, what you want to do, how you want to achieve it. These are some of the services that we here at Farmers Media help you. And as you can see behind, we connect, help you and grow, help you learn and actually grow. So the proverb of the day I'd like to share with you is, if you don't like what you're reaping, you had better change what you've been sowing. So if you don't like the results of what you're getting, it means that what you're putting in is what is not right. Because if you plant maize, you cannot get beans. So you need to change the size, the quality of the maize, so that you get the right seed and plant it in the right way, give it the right environment and all that. And once you do that, then you automatically become successful. So now, as we wind up, we want to see something here that is very interesting also. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Pamoja for Transformation Agri-Business Awards that are out there. We will be hosting the team from Pamoja for Transformation right here in our studios later on in the week. And once we do that, then we were able to guide you in terms of how do you apply for this. Remember, we've seen some of the ways that you can be able to get funding. Now, where do you get funding? As we've seen, agricultural grants, very important, very key. The other one that we've also seen that is very important is partnerships, strategic partnerships and joint ventures. Is something that you should always look at and say, how can I be able to get that done right? We've seen the agribusiness competitions like Pamoja for Transformation Agribusiness Awards and so many other out there. Social impact investors are there. They're looking for ways how they can be able to see who is doing what for communities, for social impact, and are out there. Remember, this is just the beginning. This is something that we've started. We want to guide you as well to know who is doing what and how can you get it done right. How can you package yourself? Remember, as we said from the beginning, are you prepared for what you are looking for? Are you prepared for what you're praying for? How does it show that you are ready for it? Does it show that you're ready for what you're asking for? If you're asking for rain, do you have the seeds? Do you already have the seeds? Have you prepared the land? So that when the rain comes, you are planting and going on. That reminds me of a story of a young boy in a certain village. And in this village, this boy, what happens with this boy is that everybody was praying for rain. Everybody was praying for rain. And in fact, it was like, tomorrow we have to get the rain. And so they were going somewhere up the hill to see whether they'll be able to see if rain will come. But this small boy in a whole village is the only one who went with an umbrella. So are you prepared for what you're looking for? Do you have the qualities and preparedness in your mind for what you're looking for? If you're looking for funding, do you have what it takes to get it? This has been a Farmer's Breakfast Show right here from County 034. Your host, Noah Nasiali Kadima. It was a pleasure being with you today after some days that I've been away. And at 11 o'clock, we're going to have our mid-morning show, which they'll be talking about something about livestock. And it'll be a very interesting show because that is a place where I have also started getting into, especially the livestock feed commercialization project. So tune in and get to understand so much more. So on behalf of the team behind that you don't see, our producer and director right here, and those who have made sure that this has been a success in this breakfast show, thank you very much. And those who you've been watching, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as continue following and sharing this content so that we all can continue connecting, learning, and growing. See you tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning.
A budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, Note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you'll make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral. Losing out on your crops or livestock can be a huge problem. With changing weather, there will be more unexpected losses. Have you heard about agricultural insurance? By paying a small amount of money each month, you can get paid out for serious losses to your crop or livestock. It is more affordable than you think. For a dairy cow valued at 100,000 shillings, the cost of insurance is 3.5% of that value. So, 3,500 shillings. That's about 10 shillings per day, or 1.5 liters of milk a week. Here's how to get insured. Contact an insurance agent. Someone will come and assess the expected yields from your crops or value of your animals. The insurer will then give you a cost and plan for your insurance. You pay the premium. That's the amount you need to pay to be insured for 1 year. That's it.